The experiment begins. The lab was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and blinking lights around the white walls inside the Galactic Peace Station, where humans and aliens worked together on peaceful science missions far away from Earth. Dr. Alex Wynn walked slowly into the room reading a digital report on his tablet. He was tall, calm, and always focused with short brown hair and eyes full of curiosity. He had studied neural behavior in many species, but today was special. Sitting nervously on a padded chair was an alien girl with violet skin, silver hair and bright glowing eyes. Her name was Leora, and this was her first time away from her homeworld. She looked young, maybe 18 in human years, and she kept holding her arms tightly across her chest as if trying to stop her body from shaking. Alex smiled gently and walked closer. He spoke softly, not to scare her. "Are you ready?" "Leora." She nodded slowly, her voice almost a whisper. "Yes, doctor. I am ready. I want to understand what laughter feels like." Alex nodded and picked up a small silver device shaped like a headband with glowing blue lines across its surface. This was the neural connector, a powerful human invention that allowed the brain of one species to share sensations and emotions with another directly through the nervous system. He explained the process again, making sure she understood. "This device will connect your mind to mine. I will send you only one emotion. Something simple, something safe. You will feel tickling, like a human does, but only for a few seconds if it hurts or feels bad. Just say the word and I will stop it." Leora swallowed hard and gave a weak smile. Her hands were still shaking a little. "I trust you." He placed the headband gently over her forehead and tapped the activation crystal. The light glowed blue and the connection synced. Both brains were now linked for the first time in her life. Leora would feel a human sensation, not from the outside, but inside her own nerves, her own skin. Alex sent the first signal, a small wave of sensation to her side, like soft fingers dancing across the skin. It was the same way humans felt ticklish when touched on the ribs. Leora gasped. Her body twitched slightly. Her eyes widened. What was that? She blinked. Then her shoulders jerked, her tail wrapped around the chair leg. Her breath became uneven. A strange sound came from her lips. Half gasp, half giggle. She pressed her hands over her stomach and looked at Alex with surprise. "I feel something moving inside me. It makes me want to squirm." Alex tilted his head. Intrigued, he carefully sent another signal, this time to the back of her neck, where humans often feel shivers during laughter or light. "Touch." Leora squeaked and grabbed the sides of the chair. "It's happening again. What is this?" "That is ticklishness," Alex said, smiling a little. "You're laughing or close to it, but it feels so strange," she said, and her voice cracked. "It tickles but also sparks and burns like stars inside me. And I do not know whether to scream or laugh." Then suddenly she laughed. It was clumsy at first, like someone trying to speak a new language, but it was laughter. Her whole body responded. Her chest moved up and down, and her voice echoed through the lab like bells ringing off. Rhythm. Alex's eyes lit up. He had not expected it to work so quickly. He quickly checked the readings. The neural waves between them were stable, but rising fast, and something else was showing up, strange signals inside Leora's own brain. Signals, not from Alex. "Wait," he said, "something's happening on your side. Your brain is waking up." Memories. Leora blinked again. She looked confused, but now she was smiling. Not out of politeness, but real emotion. Something was changing in her. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. "I see light red grass, soft wind. I was small. Someone touched me from behind. I felt something like this. But they told me never to speak of it. I buried it long ago." Alex realized what was happening. He had not only sent her, Human feelings he had accidentally unlocked something locked inside her alien memory. Something emotional. Something forbidden. Before he could speak again, the lab door slid open. A tall, elegant alien woman entered her face, strict, her eyes glowing. With authority, she wore the white and silver robes of Leora's homeworld elders. "What have you done?" she asked in a cold voice. "What have you awakened in her?" Leora looked at the woman, her body still trembling with leftover laughter. Her smile was fading now. "I felt something real. I felt joy, and I want to feel it again." The woman stepped forward, her presence heavy, like a stone wall. "You are playing with forbidden things. Dr. Humans do not understand the cost of emotion among our kind." Alex stood between them, holding the data tablet, close, his voice firm, but calm. She wanted this. She asked to know, and now she does. "We've done nothing wrong." But the woman's eyes narrowed and her voice became sharper. "You have no idea what you've started," and as Leora sat frozen in her chair, a strange feeling grew stronger inside her chest. Not fear, not pain, but something new, something alive, and she didn't want it to stop. Her body isn't meant for this. The air inside the lab felt heavy as the tall, alien matron stood silent, staring at Leora like she had committed a crime. Leora's breathing was unsteady, and her violet skin glowed with a strange warmth. Her body was still reacting to the sensation of laughter and the ticklishness that came from the neural connector. Alex moved closer to Leora, gently checking the headband. He had already turned it off, but the strange after effects continued. Her nerves were still firing signals, and the data showed something new, something powerful. Her brain was now creating its own sensations without help from the device. He had only sent a small emotional spark, but her system had turned it into something much bigger. She gripped her chair as another wave ran down her spine. Her shoulders twitched, and she laughed again. A short, bright sound that quickly faded into gasping breath. "This is not normal," Alex whispered. Her neural waves are looping, repeating the ticklish patterns again and again, even without input. Leora looked at him, her voice shaky, but full of curiosity. "I cannot stop laughing inside. Even when I sit still, I feel it like warm bubbles on my skin and fire in my chest. But I am not afraid." The matron stepped forward, her face full of warning. "Leora, stop this now. You are breaking the rules of our kind. Do not speak such things." But Leora turned away from her slowly, her eyes meeting Alex again. "What is this feeling? It is not just tickling. There is more, like a storm and joy mixed together." Alex hesitated, then said softly, "It's emotion. Your brain is discovering it in ways we don't fully understand. And maybe laughter unlocked something buried in your DNA. Something your people tried to erase." The matron raised her voice. "This experiment ends now. Disconnect her completely and report this to the Galactic Council before it spreads." Alex stood tall and firm. "There is no infection, no danger, just an awakening. And we are scientists, not rulers. We learn. We do not silence." The matron narrowed her glowing eyes. "You have no right to speak of our history. We sealed those emotions away generations ago. They made us weak and violent. We chose silence for peace." Leora suddenly stood up from the chair, her knees shaking but her eyes full of light. "I do not want silence anymore." Everyone froze. The room became quiet as her words echoed around the steel walls. She took one step forward, then another, her voice calm, but trembling. "I remember laughter from childhood, but I was punished for it. They told me it was a defect, a disease. But now I feel alive, like never before." Alex felt pride in her voice. but also fear. This was no longer just a science project. This was turning into something personal, something cultural and dangerous. He gently guided her to a nearby seat and offered her water. Her hands trembled as she took the glass, her fingers brushing his as their skin touched. She flinched slightly and let out another small giggle. That feeling again. It comes back when someone touches me. Is this also ticklish? Alex smiled gently. Yes, that's part of it. The nervous system is responding to gentle pressure, and your brain turns it into something joyful or playful. Leora's face turned serious for a moment. Then why did they hide it from us? Why did they erase this from our kind? Because emotion is powerful, he said, and when controlled by fear it becomes dangerous. But when embraced, it can heal. She nodded slowly, her mind racing with new thoughts, new ideas and feelings she had never imagined. Behind them, the matron spoke again. This time, her voice was softer but heavy with sorrow. Long ago, our people were full of passion and emotion, but war and destruction followed. We were strong but cruel, so our leaders chose to block it from our minds. They rewired generations of children to be calm, to forget joy, to stop laughter. We believed it was the only way to survive. Alex looked at her, his voice gentle but honest. But survival is not the same as living. The matron looked at Leora, and for the first time, there was no anger in her face. Only sadness. You are a rare one, child. Your emotions were not fully locked. Maybe by accident, maybe by fate. But now the world you knew is gone. Leora whispered, "Then I want to see a new world. A world where I can laugh and feel without shame." She turned to, "Alex, will you help me?" He nodded without hesitation. "Yes, I will." And in that quiet moment, something changed inside all of them. The lab was no longer a place of tests and wires, but a doorway to something new. A human and an alien girl both searching for something lost and something beautiful. And deep inside Leora's chest, the ticklish warmth remained not just in her skin, but in her heart. Memory from another world. Leora sat in silence, her legs crossed and her hands placed gently on her lap. The neural connector was off, but her mind still danced with echoes of laughter. Tiny sparks of joy flashed inside her chest like fireflies under her skin. She breathed in slowly, then looked up at Alex, who stood by the console, watching her scans with concern and curiosity. He could see the emotional spikes still rising and falling inside her, like waves. Her body was calm, but her mind was awake, more than ever before. "I keep seeing something," she said softly. "It comes like pictures from a forgotten dream." Alex stepped closer, his voice careful but kind. "What do you see?" "Leora." She closed her eyes and whispered, "Red grass under a green sky." "I am smaller. My hands are tiny and warm, and someone is with me. Another child. Maybe my brother. He touches my back and I turn and then I laugh." She paused, her lips trembling as she remembered more. It was only for a moment, but I felt it pure joy. Then it was gone. Forever. Alex sat across from her. Curious, did someone erase it? Leora opened her eyes, her face pale and serious. Yes, they did. She looked at the neural connector resting on the table beside her. They used something like this, but it was cold harsh. They told me. It was for learning discipline, but they erased my feelings like sweeping away dust. Her voice became hollow. They called it the harmony code. They said it would protect us from our inner chaos. But now I think they were just afraid. Alex leaned forward. Afraid of what? She answered with no hesitation. Afraid of being alive. The door slid open again, and this time a younger alien woman entered, her features softer than the matron's. her eyes full of quiet worry. She looked at Leora with hesitation. I heard what happened. I'm not supposed to be here, but I had to see it for myself. Leora stood up surprised. Nyla, you remember me? The woman nodded. We were in the same school. You were always different, always smiling, even when it was forbidden. She walked closer and touched Leora's hand gently. A small shiver passed between them, and Nyla flinched. That's the feeling, isn't it? The human feeling. Leora smiled slightly. It's more than that. It's laughter, memory, emotion. All waking up at once. Alex watched the two girls quietly. He saw how their fingers touched, how the simple human ticklishness was now a bridge between their lost childhoods. He spoke gently. This is spreading faster than I thought. Even a simple contact is awakening memories in others. Nyala turned to him, her voice soft but steady. Is that wrong? Before Alex could answer, the console beeped. Loud warning flashes lit the screen. A new signal had been detected approaching fast. A group of enforcers from Leora's homeworld were coming there. Ship was docking within the hour. They're here to take her back, Alex said, eyes narrowing. They'll try to erase her again. Maybe worse. Leora took a deep breath and looked around the lab. The walls, the lights, the cold machines. This place had become the beginning of her change, her first step toward becoming more than what she was allowed to be. Then she turned to Nyala. Will you come with me? Nyala looked scared but nodded. Yes, if you run I will follow. Alex moved quickly, grabbing a portable version of the neural connector and sliding it into a small pack. We can't go through the front. Guards will block us, but there's an old tunnel system beneath the engineering bay. It's unstable, but still works. Leora stepped beside him, her silver hair glowing in the lab lights, her expression calm and strong. I am ready. They left the lab, moving through quiet halls past sleeping drones and silent workstations. Leora held onto Nyala's hand tightly, her other hand brushing the edge of Alex's sleeve. Every time they made contact, tiny giggles slipped from her lips, but not loud enough to echo. The tunnel entrance was hidden behind a locked panel. Alex hacked it quickly and the door slid open, revealing a dark, narrow path filled with old wires and forgotten cables. They climbed down carefully, their steps slow and careful. The floor creaked with age but held firm. As they walked, Leora whispered again. More memories are coming, not just from childhood, but from others. I think I can feel their minds, now their laughter, their fear. It's all inside me. Alex looked at her surprised. That shouldn't be possible. Not unless the neural link did more than we thought. Leora nodded. Maybe your human laughter touched something deeper. A part of us that remembers how to feel even across minds, even across time. They reached the far end of the tunnel and climbed out into the hidden part of the station, the docks for private ships. Only a few guards were there and none looked toward them. A small cargo vessel waited, its engines already warm. Alex turned to her. Once we leave, there's no going back. Leora smiled wide. I do not want to go back. I want to feel. I want to remember. I want to laugh again and again and again. And as the ship rose into space behind them, the old world began to fade, and a new life was ready to begin. Forbidden emotions. The stars outside the ship window moved like soft glowing trails as the cargo vessel flew through deep space. Leora sat near the small round window, her face calm but her mind full of questions. The feeling inside her had not stopped. It still danced gently in her chest like warm rain, falling on dry ground. Nyla sat beside her, silent, unsure what to say. She had followed Leora without fully understanding why. But now she felt it too. The strange new warmth, the emotion, the spark that made her chest feel alive and her thoughts more colorful than ever before. Alex was at the ship controls guiding them toward a neutral zone far from both human and alien authority. He glanced back at the two girls and saw something in their eyes. Something new. Not fear, not confusion, but quiet strength. Leora spoke first, her voice soft but clear. My people feared feelings for so long they believed emotions would destroy us from within. But I think not feeling anything is worse than pain. Nyala nodded slowly. I used to have dreams of singing or dancing, but I always pushed them away. Now I remember them again. They're coming back. Like lost pieces. Alex leaned back in his seat. Maybe what your kind erased was never really gone. Maybe it was just sleeping. Leora looked down at her fingers and smiled as she lightly touched her own palm. A tiny shiver ran up her arm and she giggled softly. Even this simple feeling makes me feel real more than I ever did before. But the peace did not last long. The ship suddenly beeped with a warning sound. Alex checked the screen and saw a red light flashing. A message is coming through encrypted, but I can read it. He tapped the console and a voice played over the speakers. Cold, sharp, and full of power. This is the High Matron El-Shara you have taken forbidden property from our care return. The subject now or be declared enemy of the harmony. Codaniela stood quickly, her eyes wide. They are calling her property. Alex's face became serious. They won't let this go. They fear what she has become. Leora stood slowly, her face calm. Then let them fear, I will not return. I have tasted something too powerful to forget. And I will not surrender. It. The voice spoke again. Now louder. You are infected with emotion. You're not safe for your people or any others. We must cleanse you. Leora looked at Alex. They track us. He nodded slowly. Yes. They placed a hidden signal in the neural connector, but I disabled the main device. This one I brought is clean. We are safe for now. Nyala asked quietly, what do we do now? Where do we go? Alex answered without turning. There is a planet near the human colony belt, not well guarded but full of freedom. They accept all species, even those who feel too much or too little. Leora touched his shoulder. Take us there. I want to show others what laughter can bring. I want to wake them up too. But deep inside, she knew this was more than an escape. This was rebellion, not with weapons or ships, but with joy, with ticklishness, with forbidden emotions that could spread faster than fear. As they flew the ship past a glowing nebula, soft pink light covered the small vessel, and inside it, Leora closed her eyes again, letting her mind open to the sensation. She felt her heart rise and her fingers twitch. Even the ship's hum seemed like music. And then her breath caught in her throat. She felt someone else. Another mind far away, but reaching to hers. Another of her kind. Not El-Shara. Not Nyala. Someone younger. Someone crying. I hear them. She whispered. Someone is scared. They're like me. They're waking up and they don't know what it means. Alex looked back. You have a link with others now? She nodded. Yes, not through machines, but through feeling it is spreading already, and they are frightened like I was. Then help them. He said, not with force, but with your voice, with your touch, with your laugh. She smiled slowly. Yes, I will. Suddenly, the ship shook, not from weapons but a strange pulse, a signal sent through deep space. A final message from El-Shara. Her voice low and slow. You are opening a door that will never close. You do not know what lies on the other side. Leora whispered back to herself, then let it open. They entered orbit. Around the new world, a soft green and blue planet full of forests, mountains, and rivers. Untouched by rules, untouched by silence. As they landed and stepped out into the fresh air, Leora lifted her arms, feeling the wind run across her skin. She burst into soft laughter again, spinning once, then twice. Nyala laughed too, and Alex just watched smiling. And somewhere across the stars, other voices were waking. Other hearts were trembling, not with fear, but with wonder. The forbidden emotion was no longer a secret, it was a seed, and now it had begun to grow. The escape plan. The grass on the new world felt soft under Leora's bare feet. She stood in the sunlight for the first time without fear. No machines watching her, no elders listening. Her arms were open, her eyes full of peace, but also purpose. The wind carried the scent of wildflowers and something deeper. Something free. Alex sat nearby, fixing a solar panel on the small shelter they had built for the night. Nyala was planting seeds near the edge of a hill, her fingers covered in dirt. Her smile, bright and honest. They had lived here only 2 days, but already it felt more like home than the great silver towers of their old world. Leora looked at the sky and then closed her eyes. She let her fingers run over her arm again and again. Each stroke gave a soft feeling like tiny sparks, and it made her giggle. Even now, the tickling sensation still surprised her. It was gentle but strong. It reminded her that she was alive. She whispered to herself, "I was never broken. They just kept me empty." Later, that night, they sat together around a small fire. Alex shared stories of Earth, about dancing and singing, and how children tickled each other for fun, just to laugh and roll on the ground. Leora listened with wide eyes, her voice soft and full of wonder. "So, you do it even when it's not needed, when it serves no goal?" Alex nodded, smiling. "Yes, because laughter brings people closer, and it makes life light even when the world is heavy." She looked at her hands again, remembering the cold touch of the harmony, counsel the way they erased her joy and sealed her memories. They feared light. She said they wanted everything to stay still, and cold. Nyala spoke up. "Not all of them. Some of us felt things too, but we stayed quiet. We thought we were alone." Alex looked at them both. "You are not alone anymore." But their peace shattered when a signal lit up on the scanner. A ship was coming fast. A Harmony Enforcer cruiser, heavy-armed and direct. It was headed straight for the planet. Alex stood quickly, his voice urgent. "They found us. Somehow they followed our trail." Leora's breath caught. "What do they want from me? I did not hurt anyone." Nyala answered with a trembling voice. "They want to erase what you became." Alex started packing, fast, grabbing supplies, tools, and the portable neural unit. He tossed them into the ship. "We can't fight them. They'll destroy everything we built. We have to run again. But smarter this time." Leora watched the dark sky as stars shifted and something inside her refused to be afraid again. She walked to Alex and put a hand on his arm. "We can't keep running forever." Alex looked at her, eyes full of pain. "Then what do you want to do?" She answered softly, but with strength. "I want to show them I am not dangerous. I want to show them laughter is not weakness." Alex looked into her eyes and nodded slowly. "Then we do this your way." They built a small transmitter from parts in the shelter. A signal that would go out to nearby systems, not encrypted, not hidden, but full of meaning. Leora sat before the camera. She was nervous but firm. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "I am Leora of the Harmony line, once called emotionless, once told I was empty. I was not. I was only asleep." She smiled softly as she continued. "I was tickled by a human and I laughed for the first time in my life. And when I laughed, I remembered my brother, my childhood, my joy." Her voice trembled slightly, but she kept going. "Now I remember who I am, and I will not go back." She paused, then leaned forward. "You may fear emotion, but it is not the enemy. It is the missing part of us all." Niala stepped behind her and placed a hand on her shoulder. And I remember too. Alex hit the send button and the message flew into space, into unknown hands and waiting ears. The Harmony cruiser landed hours later. The ground shook as they approached. Tall guards in silver armor stepped out. But this time they were not holding weapons instead. A single elder walked toward them, holding a data tablet with Leora's face on it. "You sent this to the stars." The elder said, his voice uncertain and tired. Leora nodded calmly. "Yes, I did." The elder looked at her, then at Nyla, then at Alex. He said nothing at first, then finally whispered. "It reached others, more than we expected. Some began to remember too." He stepped back slowly, his hands no longer tight, no longer shaking. "You may go," he said. "Your path is no longer ours, but we will watch." Leora smiled and nodded. "Then watch us laugh," as the guards returned to their ship and the engines lit the sky. Leora stood tall beside her friends, the fire beside them still burning and the stars above still shining. The escape was not from a place, but from silence. And now, the silence was broken. A new home for emotions. The morning sun rose gently over the green hills. The wind carried a soft song through the trees. Birds from this strange planet flew across the sky, their wings glowing in the golden light. Leora stood at the edge of the small cliff, watching the land below, her arms wrapped around herself, not in fear, but in peace. It had been 1 week since the message spread through space. 1 week since the Harmony cruiser left without taking her. 1 week since others started arriving. They came quietly first, only one, then two, then more silent. Ships hidden under cloaks, small vessels from her homeworld. They did not bring weapons, they brought questions. Each new arrival carried the same look in their eyes, lost confusion mixed with sparks of hope. These were the forgotten ones, the misfits, the silent ones who had once laughed in secret and cried without knowing why. Alex watched them from the top of the hill, standing beside Nyala, who now wore her old robes but with flowers tucked into the collar. Her eyes were brighter, her voice full of life. Again, she had become the bridge between the old and new. "They're coming faster now," Nyala said, her voice calm. "More are remembering more, are feeling." Alex nodded quietly. Leora did this. Leora turned toward them, her silver hair glowing in the morning light. Her skin warm with the touch of wind, she smiled gently and walked toward a small group of new arrivals. 2 boys and 1 girl, younger than her with wide, curious eyes. She knelt beside them and reached out her hand. The youngest girl hesitated, then touched her fingers against Leora's palm and giggled. A little gasp of wonder escaped her lips. She smiled wide, then burst into laughter, a high sound that echoed across the hill. The other children laughed too, not from tickling, not from tricks, but from joy that spread through them, like sunlight. Leora looked up at Alex and Nyala, her voice soft but proud. "They're remembering without the connector, just by feeling each other. It's working." Alex stepped forward and crouched beside her. "You started something no one can stop now, not even the Harmony Council." Nyala nodded. "We were taught to forget. Now we are choosing to remember." A small village had started forming near the river, made from scrap metal and wood from broken ships, but filled with laughter and music. Even the air felt lighter here, like the planet itself was waking up with them. One night, Leora sat near the fire surrounded by children drawing with sticks in the dirt. The stars above were clear and bright. She looked up and saw a new ship arriving, its shape long and smooth, silver and gold. No weapons, no army, just one passenger. The ship landed quietly and the ramp opened slowly. Leora stood up as the figure stepped out. Her breath caught in her throat. It was Elshara, the high matron of her people. The same woman who once ordered her return. Her face looked older. Now, softer and tired. But her eyes were no longer cold. Leora stepped forward slowly, unsure if she should speak, but El-Shara raised her hand and nodded. Once I came to see what you became. Leora nodded back. I became myself. The matron looked around at the children, at the houses, at the dancing flames in the fire. Then, back at Leora. We thought silence would protect us, but it only made us numb. Now, the numbness is breaking. And I do not know what comes next. Leora smiled. That is what life feels like. Sometimes, you don't know what comes next. But you still walk forward. El-Shara stepped closer, her hand lightly touching Leora's cheek. A small shiver passed. Between them and the old woman gasped softly. I felt something warmth like waves, soft and strange. That's laughter, Leora whispered. Sometimes it tickles. Sometimes it heals. The matron turned slowly and walked into the village without giving orders, without demanding control, just watching, learning, remembering. That night, more voices rose into the sky. Soft songs shared by aliens and humans together. Laughter tickled the air like feathers floating in wind, and Leora stood in the center of it all, not as a leader, not as a rebel, just as a girl who had laughed. First, Alex came beside her and sat down watching the stars with her. So what? Now? He asked. Leora looked up and smiled. Now, we live. We laugh. We feel. And maybe one day we return. Not to fight, but to remind the others what it means to be whole. The fire crackled beside them, and the stars above blinked like old eyes waking from long sleep. And far away across the galaxy, other minds stirred, hearts beat faster, and long-forgotten laughter began to rise again because of one tickle, one giggle, one choice to feel. The end.